For a long time, I thought the market was about money, buying low, selling high, finding value before other people saw it. I thought it rewarded intelligence, patience, and conviction, and sometimes it does. But the longer I stayed in the market, the more I realized that it was teaching me something else. Not only about companies, not only about risk, but about desire. The market gave desire a number. It turned hope into a price, fear into a red candle, approval into a rising chart, regret into the distance between where I bought and where I could have bought. Suddenly, feelings that had once been vague became visible. They moved in real time. They flashed green and red. They updated every second. There was something addictive about that clarity. In ordinary life, feedback is slow. You may not know whether someone admires you. You may not know whether your work matters. You may not know whether you chose correctly until years later. But in the market, the number moves immediately. You buy, the price rises. For a moment, you feel confirmed. You buy. The price falls. For a moment, you feel exposed. I knew, intellectually, that the market was not judging me. A stock price does not know my name. It does not know how hard I worked. It does not know whether I am beautiful, intelligent, disciplined, or worthy. But my nervous system did not always understand that. A green day could make me feel sharper. A red day could make me question decisions that had not fundamentally changed. This was familiar. I had done this before. With attention, with desire, with money, with the way people looked at me. I had allowed external movement to become internal meaning. The market was simply a faster mirror. The first thing the market taught me was that desire often arrives after movement. We like to believe that we want things because we have calmly studied their value. But often, we begin wanting them because they are already moving away from us. A stock rises. Suddenly, it looks more important. Other people begin talking about it. The story becomes brighter. The future appears more certain. The higher the price goes, the harder it becomes to imagine living without it. Nothing about the company may have changed that morning. But attention changed. And attention created urgency. Urgency created desire. Desire created a story. And the story made the price feel inevitable. I began to understand that desire is not always a private truth. Sometimes it is social weather. It moves through rooms, through timelines, through headlines, through conversations. We absorb it before we recognize it as our own. This happens outside the market too. A certain body becomes desirable because enough people look at it. A certain life becomes desirable because it photographs well. A certain house, handbag, relationship, or identity begins to feel necessary because attention has gathered around it. The object may be real. The beauty may be real. The value may be real. But the intensity of the wanting is often borrowed. The market taught me to ask, did I want this before it started rising? Or do I want it because I am afraid of being left behind? That question is uncomfortable, because sometimes the answer is not flattering. Fear of missing out is not only about missing money, it is about missing proof. Proof that I saw the future. Proof that I was early. Proof that I was more perceptive than the crowd. Proof that I was becoming the person I believed I could be. Sometimes I did not just want the investment to succeed. I wanted it to confirm an identity. And once a position becomes part of your identity, selling it no longer feels like changing your mind. It feels like losing part of yourself. This is where conviction becomes difficult to separate from attachment. Conviction says, I understand why I own this. Attachment says, I need this to prove something about me. Conviction can survive uncertainty. Attachment needs constant reassurance. I used to think strong investors felt less emotion. Now I think the best ones may simply be better at identifying which emotion has entered the room. Is this fear? Is this greed? Is this envy? Is this a real change in the facts? Or is my nervous system trying to turn uncertainty into action? The market rewards action sometimes, but it also creates the illusion that every feeling requires a trade. A price moves. You feel something. You want to do something. Action offers temporary relief, even when the action does not improve the outcome. This was another thing the market taught me. Not all action is agency. Sometimes action is anxiety wearing the costume of control. The hardest moments were often not the biggest losses. They were the moments when I could imagine an alternate version of myself who had acted perfectly. That imaginary woman was always richer, always calmer, always correct, because she existed after the outcome was already known. Comparison with other people is painful, but comparison with an impossible version of yourself can be even worse. The market forced me to confront regret. Not regret as information, but regret as self-punishment. The repeated thought, I should have known. I should have bought more. I should have waited. I should have acted. But a decision can only be judged by the information available when it was made, not by the clarity created afterwards. The future always looks obvious once it has become the past. This changed something in me. I started trying to evaluate my decisions separately from their outcomes. Was the reasoning sound? Was the position size appropriate? Did I understand the risks? Did I act from a plan or from panic? A good decision can lose money. A bad decision can make money. The market does not always reward process immediately. Sometimes it rewards luck. Sometimes it punishes patience. Sometimes it gives the wrong lesson to the right person. This is dangerous because the brain loves simple feedback. Profit means good. Loss means bad. Green means right. Red means wrong. But markets are more complicated than that, and so are people. I began seeing the same confusion in the rest of my life. Being desired did not always mean I was being loved. Being paid did not always mean I was being valued. Being admired did not always mean I was being known. Being chosen did not always mean I had chosen well. The market taught me to stop confusing feedback with truth. Feedback matters. Price matters. Attention matters. Desire matters. But none of them can fully tell you what something is worth. Price is what the crowd agrees on for a moment. Value is what remains when the crowd looks elsewhere. This does not mean price is meaningless. Ignoring reality is not wisdom. A company can be wonderful and still be too expensive. A dream can be beautiful and still cost too much of your life. A person can be desirable and still be wrong for you. That may be the deepest lesson the market gave me. Something can be real and still be overpriced. Beauty can be real. Potential can be real. Love can be real. And the price can still be too high. The price might be money, or time, or anxiety, or the part of yourself you must abandon to keep holding on. I used to think discipline meant resisting desire. Now I think discipline means staying close enough to desire to understand it, not suppressing it, not obeying it immediately, listening. What is this desire asking for? More money? More certainty? More recognition? More excitement? Proof that I am not falling behind? Sometimes the asset is not the real object of desire. Sometimes we are buying a feeling. There is nothing shameful about this. Humans do not invest as machines. We bring our histories, our fears, our ambition, our memories of scarcity, our need to feel that the future is moving toward us rather than away. But when we do not know what we are really trying to buy, no return can fully satisfy us. The number rises, the goal moves, the feeling lasts for a moment. Then desire creates a new distance. The market has no natural definition of enough. There is always another opportunity, another company, another return, another future you might miss. Enough has to come from somewhere else. It has to be decided before the market decides for you. For me, this began with separating security from appetite. What do I actually need to feel safe? What level of return supports the life I am building? What risk can I carry without allowing the market to occupy every room in my mind? I started thinking of attention as part of the cost of an investment. Not only the money at risk, but the hours spent checking, the emotional bandwidth, the background anxiety, the life that becomes slightly less available because part of me is always watching the price. An investment can be profitable and still be too expensive for your nervous system. This does not mean avoiding risk. I still believe in ambition. I still believe in conviction. I still believe that some periods of history create extraordinary opportunities. But I no longer want opportunity to become a permanent emergency. I want to hold desire without becoming possessed by it. To study the future without abandoning the present. To pursue growth without turning my life into a waiting room for a number. The market taught me that patience is not passive. Patience is the ability to feel desire without immediately turning it into action. To watch a price rise without chasing it. To watch a price fall without assuming the story has ended. To wait for facts to catch up with emotion. Sometimes the most intelligent trade is not a trade. Sometimes the most powerful action is keeping your hands still. Stillness creates space between impulse and identity. In that space, I can ask, has the value changed? Or only the price? Has the story changed? Or only the mood? Do I want this? Or do I want relief from watching other people have it? The market did not teach me to stop wanting. I do not think that is possible, and I am not sure it would be desirable. Desire creates movement. It creates imagination. It allows us to see a life beyond the one we already know. But desire needs a hand around it. Not to extinguish it. To carry it. Without awareness, desire becomes pursuit. Pursuit becomes identity. Identity becomes captivity. With awareness, desire becomes information. It tells me what I am drawn toward, what I fear losing, what I believe the future might give me, and what I may need to learn how to give myself. Maybe the market did not make me greedy. Maybe it revealed the places where I still believed more would finally make me safe. Maybe it showed me how quickly I could turn movement into meaning. Maybe it taught me that wanting is not the problem. Unexamined wanting is. I still look at charts. I still study companies. I still care about returns. I still feel excitement when a thesis begins to work, and disappointment when it does not. I am not trying to become emotionally blank. I am trying to stop treating every emotion as an instruction. The market moves, desire rises, fear arrives, comparison whispers, and I try to remain, not above desire, not beyond it, inside it, but awake. The market taught me that I can want something deeply without chasing it blindly. I can believe in a future without demanding that it arrive on my schedule. I can miss an opportunity without believing I have missed my life. I can be wrong without becoming wrong. And I can let a number be a number, not a verdict, not a mirror, not a measure of whether I am becoming enough. Maybe this is what the market was trying to teach me all along. Not how to remove desire, but how to recognize it, how to hold it, how to ask whether it belongs to me, and how to let it pass when the price is too high. I still want, but I no longer want every desire to become a command. I still invest, but I do not want the market to own the rooms of my life it was never meant to enter. The market taught me about desire, and desire taught me to ask a quieter question. Not only, what could I gain, but what will it cost me to keep wanting this? Sometimes the answer is worth it. Sometimes it is not. Wisdom is not wanting less. It is learning what deserves the weight of your wanting. Final thought. The chart still moves, but I no longer move with every flicker. Desire is information, not instruction.